welcome back to another episode of The Extra Point. I'm your host, Kate Woynerowski, and with me tonight, I have Leah Hart, Patrick Driscoll, Griffin Barfield, and RJ Pillay. Welcome back, guys. Let's get right to it. We're going to start with some college football pick'ems. We've got 5 ranked matchups we're going to go over, so really exciting weekend for college football. So let's start with an SEC matchup. We've got number 7 Kentucky and number 14 Ole Miss. This is an undefeated matchup right here. Guys, who do you have taking this one?
Let's see.
Ooh, Griffin. Why are you picking the home team?
I picked Ole Miss because it's the home team. People, those fans of Mississippi love it. I know that Kentucky are bringing their running back, and he had a lot of scores. So that did kind of shape my way, but Kentucky just did not look that fascinating to me. They do have that win against Florida, but Florida isn't ranked anymore. I think Ole Miss just has the momentum, and I think that they pull out a win in a very close but fun one.
You got it.
Oh, okay. So this one was tough. Other than the Clemson game, this is the game I'm looking forward to the most. Yes, Kentucky is getting their star running back and Chris Rodriguez back. Rushed for 1,400 or so yards last year. And I think getting him back is going to be the difference for the Wildcats. They are probably so hyped to get their boy back out in the field and get some rushing touchdowns. It's going to be a very close one, but as long as Kentucky can stop that running game from Ole Miss, which is number 1 in the SEC, Kentucky will get it done.
Yeah, I got Kentucky too, along with Patrick and I think RJ, but they've been pretty efficient on the road. I know they've only had 1 road win against Florida, but they looked pretty good in that game. I mean, Florida was strong, so that was a huge win for them. I think they're going to get the close one on the road, so I got Kentucky in this one.
Yeah, I got Kentucky. My heart just feel like Kentucky gonna pull it out, cause they ranked number 7. I don't think they ever been ranked that high before, so they got that mindset wanting to win. So Kentucky for the win.
You know, I don't think Kentucky's been ranked that high in a long, long time. So definitely would be interesting to see how they go into the Grove and see how they do against Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss team. So, all right, let's move on now to another SEC matchup and one of our first 3:30 matchups. So let's start with number 2 Alabama and number 20 Arkansas. Guys, this was almost an undefeated matchup, just a field goal away for Arkansas, right? Does Arkansas take this one after losing to Texas A&M last weekend?
No.
No. Alabama gonna humble them boys and take them out the top 25.
All right. RJ, why?
I just feel like Arkansas should have never been ranked, in my opinion.
Ooh, okay.
That's how I feel.
You all disagree with that take?
That's a hot take.
RJ,
I mean,
you got the record. You got the good record,
Yeah, I got
man,
the good
but that's a hot
record.
take.
Listen, Alabama's Alabama. Their defense is great. Their quarterback, they're led by the former Heisman winner Bryce Petty. Not Bryce Petty. What am I saying? Bryce Young. Holy gosh. But this game could 100% become a shootout. I believe in P.J. Jefferson, is that his name? KJ Jefferson. I can't do my names today. I think Alabama pulled this one out, and I think their defense gets a late game stop to win the game.
Yeah, Griffin had a lot of good points. I am very high on KJ Jefferson, probably one of my favorite players to watch in college football this year. Even though they lost last week, he had a phenomenal game on the ground and through the air. But let's be real, Bama is Bama. I saw this quote today on Instagram where this player, I can't think of his name, but he said something along the lines of, if you're lining up against us, just get ready to get disrespected or something like that. They come in, they know they're the best. I still think Alabama's the best team in the country, even though they are not ranked number 1. Alabama's going to win this game.
Yeah, I got Bama too. I mean, I think they're going to get an easy road win. I think Bryce Young and the Alabama offense are just too dominant, and they've been dominant for so long. Alabama's been so good. I mean, Nick Saban just coaches them really well. I think they'll just come in here and get the easy win.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with you guys. I think Alabama will go into Arkansas and pull out a win. Whether it's easy or not, I do not know. I think it'll be interesting to see after that Texas matchup how they have responded to that. So we'll see. But let's move on now to another 3:30 matchup in the Big 12. We've got number 9 Oklahoma State at number 16 Baylor, Bryce Petty's former team. So, guys, who do you have taking this one?
Let's see. Can't even see mine, but I got Oklahoma. I can't even write Oklahoma, but you see the O. It's a big O. I got Oklahoma.
Go ahead.
I just feel like they ranked number 9. I really don't got no research about them. I know I had Baylor last week, but I don't think Baylor gonna beat Oklahoma State. I just feel that way. Gotta have that mindset. I'm 13-4 with college pick'em, so trust me.
I'm gonna have to go with Blake Sharman and the Bears. I like this matchup a lot. I just think the strength of schedule for Baylor has been much harder compared to Oklahoma State, and they have had a bye week. Oklahoma State have had a bye week. I think, especially in a rematch that was so close in the Big 12 championship, I think Baylor pull it out again, and especially at home, I don't think they lose.
Griffin had good points. Sharpen, he's the man. Also, this is a huge Big 12 matchup, so it's going to be very exciting to see what goes down in here. I'm really high on both of these teams, but Baylor did come in. I thought Iowa State was going to beat them last year. They proved me wrong. They came into Iowa. They got the job done. It was a close game, but they looked solid. And I really do like Oklahoma State quarterback Spencer Sanders, but the turnover problems, they're just too much still. I think we might see a little more turnover problems come this week, and Baylor is going to capitalize off of that and get it done this week.
Yeah, I got Baylor in this one too. I mean, Oklahoma State hasn't really played any tough teams, all been blowouts kind of, but I think Baylor's going to come back from that one loss against BYU. I think they're just kind of developing as a team, figuring out their offense, their talent, so I got Baylor.
All right. Well, we'll have to see if RJ's right about this pick this time. So, all right, now let's move on to a couple of ACC matchups. So first, we've got number 22 Wake Forest heading to Tallahassee to take on number 23 Florida State. Guys, is Florida State back, or can Wake Forest avenge their loss from last week? All right, I'm guessing that everyone's taking the vengeance. All right, why is that?
So I got Wake Forest. I know it was like a tough loss against Clemson last week. But Sam Hartman looked so good. He threw like 6 touchdowns or something. It was insane. I think their offense is coming around like really well. They're tricking the defense into thinking it's a pass play when they're just running it up the middle for like 10-yard gains. Like each run that they had definitely got them a few first downs and over 10 yards average. So I got Wake Forest. It's a big ACC matchup against Florida State, but I'm picking Wake Forest.
I have the Demon Deacons as well. Offensively, they looked phenomenal. Defensive, not so hot, but I don't think it'll be a problem for them. DJ had a great game last week. And speaking about Sam Hartman, he looked awesome, especially on the ground game. Like every time he took off when I was watching a game, like I was getting pretty scared. Like I didn't realize he had wheels like that. And once again, Wake Forest definitely feels like the game was in their hands. They lost it in their own stadium, and that's going to fire them up. I think they're going to have a great week of practice this week, and they're going to come in ready to take on Florida State and get a big dub.
Listen, I honestly think Wake Forest are a slept-on team. Also my dad's in my ear because he went to Wake. But I am really, really high on Sam Hartman. I knew that as soon as that Clemson game last week was coming in and he was back, I knew the game was going to be close. People are forgetting how good this guy is, and he took this team to the ACC championship. And that's nuts. I think that he has another huge game against a Florida State team that really hasn't been tested that much, and I think Wake Forest pull out a statement win.
Yep, I have Wake Forest. I agree with all of them. Wake Forest, they had the game in their hands. It just came up short. They're going to come with that mindset, wanting to win. And, I guess they just going to send Florida State back home.
All right. No, definitely be interesting to see how that offense continues to improve and also seeing how their defense responds right to last week's loss. So, all right, now moving on to our final matchup, we have number 10 NC State and number 5 Clemson. Guys, College game day is going to be there, and in a hurricane possibly. Guys, who do you have taking this one?
I feel like I shouldn't even hold mine up. Of course.
Home team. All right. Guys, why do you have Clemson in this matchup?
I got Clemson in this matchup. I mean, we were just talking about how Sam Hartman threw 6 touchdowns, but DJ threw like 5, I think, or 4 maybe. But he looked so good. I think he has his confidence back. I think that'll drive him to beat another ranked team this week. I mean, I don't really think that NC State should be in the top 10 of the rankings because they only moved up because teams in the top 10 lost. So I'm not looking so high on them. I'm not really praising them that much, but I think Clemson gets it done at home.
I believe this atmosphere in Death Valley this weekend is going to be insane. Night game, college game day. Obviously, you have the new scoreboard. I remember seeing countless videos on my Snapchat of all the players running down the hills during last night game. Like, everyone was so hyped for it. The build-up is huge for this game. NC State, we lost to them last year. Obviously, that was tough. But this is a new year. Clemson looked so sound offensively. I think our defense is going to get it cleaned up this week. And I think we're going to block all the haters. We're going to take this win against NC State, and we're going to get into the top 4 after this week.
Let me set the stage for y'all. It's college game day. It is a night game in Death Valley, sold out already, 85,000 fans.
Preach.
That is enough for me. Listen, this Clemson team lost to NC State last week. I think that they pull out a huge statement win, and like Patrick said, we'll move into the top 4. Rain or shine, I don't care. Clemson.
I agree with Clemson. It's a get-back game. Like, I just feel like DJ, he gonna throw about 5 touchdowns. I feel like he back. Like, against that game with Notre Dame, I think I read an article. They were like, he back. So, like, we got something for y'all, NC State. Just watch.
You know, it could be a bring your own guts game again. We'll see. But really, really looking forward to that game on Saturday night. All right, everyone, let's move on now to the hashtag game. We're going to start with some news in the NBA, some shocking news at that. Celtics head coach Ime Udoka, has been suspended by the organization for the entire season next year for having an intimate affair with a female staff member. So, guys, what are your hashtags for this one? Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I say that's kind of wild, though, but, like, the Celtics, they're a playoff team, and, like, their head coach, find out that happened, I just feel like, dang, they're going to kind of mess with them during the season, not having a head coach, and, yeah, I just feel.
Hashtag downfall. Here's why. The Celtics lost their head coach who took them to a finals. They lost Danilo Gallinari, and they lost Robert Williams. Yeah, Robert Williams. Mm-hmm. I think this Celtics team that was pretty much destined for another huge run, now without their head coach, have to go back to the drawing board, and they're without 2 of their forwards. I think that this just spells out a downfall for them, and I don't think they do as hot as they did last year.
Obviously, yes. Like that. This whole situation, my hashtag right here, is a hashtag big ol' mess. Players on the Celtics were finding this through like Twitter. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that's how they found out about it. They were tweeting things about it. They're very confused about what was going on. Obviously, we don't need to get into details what really happened with, what's his name, Udoka. But you have former NBA player Matt Barnes, like, first, like, supporting Udoka, then realizing, like, this whole situation is, like, I'm pretty sure he said gross and nasty or something like that. It's a very confusing situation. It's a big blow to the Celtics. And lastly, like, who are they going to bring in? We don't even know who they're going to bring in. The NBA season they just had their media day. Like, it's getting close. So, Boston, Brad Stevens, you might have to come back coach, like, if you can't find anyone. But you got to get it figured out soon.
If I'm correct, I think they already did promote someone, their assistant. And I think, if I'm correct, their top assistant before had gone to the Jazz. So now he was looking for a head coaching position. Then obviously the Jazz opened up, traded away Donovan Mitchell. Could have had the Celtics. Like, what?
Yeah.
He blew it, man. I'm telling you. Okay, Leah, go ahead.
Yeah, I said #whoa. I think when I got that notification on ESPN, like I'm a Celtics fan because I'm from Rhode Island, but it was all just like super shocking to me. I mean, we were on like an all-time high in the NBA Finals. We obviously lost, but that was kind of like a big deal for us because it was like one of the first times since I think 2008 being back in the finals when we actually won. So, I mean, I feel like it's just going to go all downhill from here, like Patrick and Griffin and RJ all said. I feel like it's just a shock to the world. I think like nothing's going right now is going in the Celtics direction, so just super surprising to me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a shock. And it's especially one of those things when you know it's bad when the Celtics are the ones who have to suspend him and not the NBA themselves. So definitely just, I guess, prayers to the organization, that family, and hopefully everything gets resolved.
No,
And we'll see. All right, moving on now to another downhill situation. Georgia Tech, they fired their head coach Jeff Collins and their AD as well this weekend after losing to UCF. Guys, what are your hashtags for this? What's new? All right, go.
What's new? I mean, I feel like in today's era, you see this a lot. Georgia Tech, you fire your coach and then fire your AD as well. Like, nothing's going to change out of this. This whole situation, you see programs just get way too impatient. Clearly, this Georgia Tech team just isn't talented at all. And yes, I know this head coach he wasn't doing a great job. But I mean, just people pulling the triggers, especially on the AD, like that is going to cause ripples through their whole sporting program, especially their football team. All I got to say is it's going to be a big mess there. Happy trails and best of luck, Georgia Tech.
I said harsh period. It's awful being a Georgia Tech football fan. I'm so sorry. Listen, you had to open up your season with Clemson. You had to play Ole Miss, who also is undefeated. And then at the end of the season, when you think all is done, you have to sit and play Georgia. Like it's so hard, and I feel awful. But you know, this team used to be like a borderline top 25 team. I remember when Georgia Tech was like right on the outskirts. I'm like, oh yeah, that's great, another ACC team. But they're struggling to get wins against FBS teams. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Georgia Tech.
I say LOLY. I mean, I ain't really did no research on them, but I see like they've been losing bad. But I feel like they shouldn't fire the coach that early. I mean, wait towards the end of the season before firing. I feel like, yeah.
I said #why not earlier. I mean, maybe like firing your AD is kind of a big deal, and I don't think that might have happened, but I mean, the coach just wasn't doing a good job, especially when they played Clemson the first week. There were just so many problems with their defense, and I feel like they could have got something going. Maybe it was a little too early, maybe, but I don't know. I feel like their schedule was a little bit tough coming up, so I mean, I feel like they just maybe need to restart. Maybe it was a little harsh, but they just got to keep going, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be interesting to see who they hire next. I mean, I've heard rumors that Deion Sanders maybe could be their head coach.
He's not leaving Jackson State.
Boys.
He's not leaving Jackson State.
Well, we'll see. All right, moving on to the NFL. They finally eliminated the Pro Bowl. Guys, what are your feelings on this? Griffin.
I said softs. I remember watching the Pro Bowl. I remember watching but I remember seeing like the memories of the Sean Taylor tackle during the Pro Bowl. That was nuts.
The punter.
Yeah, I really don't understand when I was watching the Pro Bowl this year. They were all doing two-hand touch, not even taking each other down. I mean, they did add a flag football game, but it just eliminates the whole joy of the Pro Bowl. Maybe add a little incentive at the end, but it got soft.
Yeah, it did got soft. Like, I'm happy they eliminated because, like, it's just not fun. Like, what's the point of being in the Pro Bowl and stuff? I mean, I understand like certain reasons why, but like I feel like it just take away the fun from that hit. So
I gotta go with long overdue. Like, finally. Oh my goodness, finally. I agree with Griffin. Like, it stinks because the Pro Bowl is great, but in today's era, you know, players don't want to do it. They'd rather be on vacation or like reduce the risk of getting hurt and whatnot. It's just a different era. The Pro Bowl has been so hard to watch. I don't even remember the last time I turned it on. But, like,
That's so
seriously,
it's pointless.
The last time I watched the Pro Bowl with genuine interest, I was probably about a foot shorter, had a buzz cut, and a very squeaky voice. Like that, it just shows like just how bad it's gotten. It's so hard to watch. Like, stadiums could never fill up the stadiums would be so empty too. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, it does stink how it has to go, but it's about time.
Yeah, I said #no. I mean, that's a little basic for a hashtag, but I feel like we're not seeing the actual players' talent. I feel like, especially on like the defensive ends, like you don't really like full on sack the person. I don't know. I feel like just like the talent is not there, especially in the Pro Bowl. I mean, we can see them actually in the regular season games, but it's just not as fun as it used to be. Maybe now it's gonna be like more game style, like different little games with, I don't know, something at the end, but it's not just like a normal regular season game anymore. It's just kind of fizzling out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this because it is sad to see it go. But at the same time, I will admit, I don't think I've watched the Pro Bowl in years either. So was it really worth me being upset over? I don't know. But it's just sad to see it go downhill the way it has. But I think the NFL, I can see them bringing it back at some point in the next couple of years. But it'll be interesting to see how this new flag football thing will go. All right, now let's go to the pick'ems. So we're going to start with the Cleveland Browns at the Atlanta Falcons. Guys, does Atlanta win their second straight?
please.
No.
No.
Come on. No.
All right. We've got some non-believers over here. What do we have for the Browns?
All right, I got the Browns. I mean, they're looking pretty good. Everybody thought that since Baker Mayfield left, nothing was going to come out of it for the Browns. I mean, but Jacoby Brissett's looking really good. I mean, also the addition of Amari Cooper, that's awesome. He's so reliable on third down and when you need a touchdown in crunch time. So I think their offense is coming together. I think they get the big win here.
Yeah, a lot of great points. Actually, the Thursday night football game, speaking of Amari Cooper, I left Amari Cooper on my bench, and it was so hard to watch that game, just watching Cooper just rack up catches on catches and catches. But it shows the chemistry between him and Brissett. They look great together. And you also have the dynamic duo of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Those two together are so fun to watch. The Browns are they have the best rushing attack in the NFL. And while the Falcons did win last week, you know, Cleveland, they've been looking solid this whole year, and they're going to get it done.
First of all, I hope Myles Garrett's okay after that whole accident. That was a little bit scary just to see from a viewer point. But not of him, I like the Browns. The Falcons are 28th in run defense. That spells the game for itself. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt will be balling. I think I agree with what Patrick and Leah are saying. I think Amari Cooper is a highly underrated receiver, and I think that once Deshaun Watson comes back, I think that he could turn into something great, even if they are a playoff team. I like the Browns. Yeah.
Well, I like the Browns too. I feel like they're gonna be a playoff team, but I don't want to speak too much. I mean, they're doing fine without Deshaun Watson, 2-1, but Atlanta, that's just a joke. They really just won that game, just to win, get that one win. But I got the Browns.
All right. Well, Atlanta's 1-2 right now, and so are both teams in the next matchup here. We've got the Cardinals at the Panthers.
Oh, Lord.
Guys, who moves up to 500 on Sunday?
They both bad teams. I mean, but,
You have to pick who's worse. Pick who's better.
Okay. I hate to do it, but I'm going with the Cardinals.
All right, RJ, why?
I mean, Kyler Murray, he walked down on my we were up 20-0, and he came all the way back. He showed effort and not giving up, and like came all the way back. And I feel like the Panthers, they're just so bad to me, and that's why.
That's valid. I get that. All right.
I said the Cardinals. This Panthers offense is just so iffy. There was a stat that Baker Mayfield's 70-yard touchdown to Laviska Shenault was like 25% of his whole yards for the year, and he's played 3 games.
Oh my
That's
God.
just nuts to me. I don't believe that, and I don't think Baker's the answer. I just like the Cardinals. I like how they're getting guys like Marquise Brown and Greg Dortch involved, and if the Panthers even want a shot, they got to get DJ Moore in the game more. I like the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, Griffin covered a lot right there. The Cardinals are going to win this game. You have Kyler Murray, such a talented quarterback, so hard to stop. And then you have James Conner, who has been battling injuries a little bit, but their backups have been pretty solid. Their defense is, not great, but they're not terrible. And other than Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, no one is really surprising me or impressing me on the Panthers. They're going to have one of the worst records in the NFL this year. They just don't look good, and the Cardinals will win this week.
Yeah, I got the Cardinals too. Like Patrick said, nothing's really coming out of this whole Baker Mayfield situation. I feel like everybody was overhyping him, being like, oh my God, the Panthers are going to be back to the Super Bowl in 2015. But I feel like deep inside, I knew that just wasn't going to happen. They were just not even close right now. But I feel like the Cardinals will get it done. They've had a tough few games, but they got to show the fight that they used to come back against the Raiders. So I think Kyler Murray's got to get everybody involved, kind of go into a rhythm, but I got the Cardinals this week.
All right. Well, speaking of the Raiders, they're in our next matchup. We've got the 0-3 Raiders taking on the Broncos. Guys, do the Raiders come out with the win this weekend to finally get in the W column?
Please. Please win this game.
All right. Well, go ahead, RJ.
I mean, we be losing these close games. We shouldn't even be losing to, who we played last week?
Titan.
The Titans. That game, that was a heartbreaking game for me. Because, they was doubling Devontae Adams. He couldn't really get open. Mac Hollins went off, though. But I just feel like we 0-3. We're going to come in with that mindset, wanting to win. And Broncos, we've been beating them for the last 2 years, sweeping them in the division. And this Josh McDaniels' old team, so I just feel like he got to get his first win as a Raider head coach. If not, he on that hot seat.
So I think every week I've picked the Raiders. So I'm just going to roll with them till I die. I hope they figure it out. Please figure it out. The Broncos just did not look good. Neither team did. The Broncos or the 49ers didn't look good on Sunday Night Football. And I think that just Derek Carr just has to get the whole team involved. Renfro may be back. They has to get Devontae Adams in the game more. Renfro ought to be in the game. Waller has to be in the game. And even throwing Mac Hollins now is a big threat. I like the Raiders in this one. I think they figure it out against Nathaniel Hackett and the Broncos.
Yes, sir.
I got a quick point real quick. Sorry, Patrick, but
You good?
the Broncos, they is not really playing nobody for real. We played the Cardinals. That was a playoff team, I think. We played the Titans. That was a playoff team. Chargers. They soon to be a playoff team. Come on now. Broncos not playing nobody. They won by 1 point.
I mean, Jacksonville did give the Chargers the work, though.
That is true.
That
I
is
feel like we
true.
shouldn't have even lost to the
Duval.
Chargers. We really should be 3-0 if we're being honest, but I don't know. It's the head coach. I blame the head coach and Derek Carr. And yeah, it's tough.
So, I am not high on the Broncos at all, but I'm sorry, Mr. Devontae Adams, you are going to be 0-4, like it or not. I think this, just like I was talking about Derrick Henry last week, Derrick Henry finally turned it up last week. He got more involved in the passing game and whatnot. It looked better on the rushing attack too. And I think Russell Wilson, you have weapons. Come on, let's get it figured out. I think we're going to see a vintage Russ outing. I love his chemistry with Cortland Sutton. Jerry Jeudy's still a little bit banged up, but he has guys. I don't see Big Albert in the mix more at tight end. But still, I like the duo between Javonte and Melvin Gordon. And I think the Broncos are going to come in. They're going to start sharpening up a little bit. And I think they're going to be a team we look at the end of the year and be like, wow, this team got a lot better. I got Denver.
Yeah, I got the Broncos too. I mean, the Raiders cannot finish out a game for their life. I feel like, especially against the Cardinals, like that was one of the toughest losses, coming back 20-0. But I think, it was kind of hard for me to pick this game because neither team's looking good. I mean, especially since everybody was also hyping up Russell Wilson to be really good, just coming over from the Seahawks. So, hopefully he gets something going, Russell Wilson. He has the people to do so. He has Jerry Jeudy, as Patrick said, all the offensive weapons. They just got to get something going. So I think in this game, I'm picking the Broncos.
Also, something quick too. I'm sure everyone saw this too. I forget who is the specific person who tweeted this out, but the Broncos should be paying this punter $280 million.
I saw that meme.
I thought that was so funny, and even though I did pick the Broncos for this one, wow. Yeah, that gave me a laugh.
Hey, at least it might give Russell Wilson some motivation though on Sunday. So you know what? That's a good point you bring up there. You know what? I think I should just do the Raiders every week until they win a game.
Yeah, do that.
Honestly, gosh. All right, moving on now to Sunday Night Football. We've got the Chiefs at the Buccaneers. Guys, who takes this one? Mahomes, Brady. Oh my gosh, is everyone picking the Bucs? Oh, Patrick.
Yes, it's another week for the Bucs to get healthy, so it was hard for me to pick Kansas City, but Patty Mahomes is the man. Edwards-Helaire has been doing okay this year, nothing too crazy, but I just like Kansas City. I like the way Juju's been looking this year too. He's been a great addition for them so far, other than a costly fumble here and there. But still, Kansas City, Mahomes and Kelsey, those two together are just phenomenal. The Buccaneers are still just looking a little banged up. Leonard Fournette didn't have the greatest outing last week. They do have that elite defense, but when you're Patrick Mahomes, you can go up against anything. And I think he's going to ball out against Tom Brady and the Bucs, and the Chiefs will take this one.
People forget that Todd Bowles was the one to stop Patrick Mahomes, and he was the only guy that I thought successfully did stop Patrick Mahomes, and he basically hasn't lost anybody. The Bucs do have Mike Evans coming back. Chris Godwin and Julio Jones are questionable. Even if they don't, they always have Russell Gage, who has proved himself well. They have Leonard Fournette as well. I feel like that he will finally get those touchdowns rolling in for those desperate fantasy owners. I think the Bucs pull it out. Honestly, there has been no one on this Chiefs team that I have been surprised with. As you've seen, Sky Moore, Juju. Kelsey's Kelsey. I feel like that he's done his good amount, but I just don't see any X factor on this Chiefs team. I like the Bucs.
Yeah, I like the Bucs too. I just feel like they beat them boys before in that Super Bowl, and I just feel like Patrick Mahomes, he good and all, but he ain't got Tyreek no more, so it's gonna be kind of tough for him to find weapons and stuff. Even though he got little weapons, but I feel like he ain't really gonna do much. I like the Bucs.
Yeah, I got the Bucs too. The Chiefs were looking pretty dominant in the first few weeks until that loss last week against the Colts. So that was a pretty tough one for them. But I think I'm choosing the Bucs because Mike Evans is coming back. He was so dominant in that first week win against the Cowboys, that one-handed touchdown grab. I think Tom Brady, he's a GOAT, so I think they got this one.
All right. See what happens. I think the Mahomes-Brady matchups always live up to the expectations, so let's hope it does as well on Sunday night. All right, moving on to our last matchup, our Monday Night Football matchup. We've got the Rams at the 49ers. Who do you have taking this one? Oh, we've got a clean sweep to end it. All right, who wants to start?
I'll go first. All right, so think of this situation. You have Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald versus Jimmy G. What's the worst that could happen? Last week, we all know what happened with Jimmy in the back of the end zone. Oh my gosh, it was just, and he threw a pick six too. It was probably one of the worst plays I've ever seen. I don't think anything's going to go that wrong for Jimmy come this week against LA, but it's going to be a tough one for him. And he does have weapons. I'd like to see George Kittle more involved. Obviously, like, he has many injury problems in the past. The Rams, you know, they haven't looked as sharp as I'd like them to be. Stafford's been just okay. Allen Robinson, meh. Cam Akers, meh. But you got Cooper Kupp. I just think the Rams, they're still heavy favorites on this one. They'll win this game comfortably.
Yeah, I got the Rams too. I mean, reigning Super Bowl champs. I mean, that Super Bowl hangover kind of got to them first week against the Bills, but I think they got this one. I mean, the 49ers did not look strong last week. They're still trying to figure things out. I don't know if Jimmy G's the answer. I mean, maybe Trey Lance was, but obviously the injury. So I think Rams get this road win here.
Jimmy G is a glorified Cooper Rush. I will stand by that. He just didn't look good, and honestly, as 49er fans and NFL fans all over the world, all around, probably noticed that he just didn't play well and he didn't look good at all. I just like the Rams. I don't think Jimmy G gets into his own element against a Rams defense like this. And when you have Cooper Kupp on the other side, I mean, that's Rams.
I like the Rams. I feel like ain't Deebo Samuel hurt, right? Like, 49ers missing their star player, one of their star players, so it's gonna be tough for them. And the Rams got everybody. You name it. They were Super Bowl champions, so like, why not pick the Rams? So.
You know, all good points there. All good points. All right, everyone, that's our show. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you next week for another episode of The Extra Point.